What's happening, family? Welcome to the podcast, In the Black of My Mind. I'm your host, Al Thomas. Today, we're bringing you part two of the Brian Keane conversation. If you missed part one, go check it out. It was mad interesting. Brian's a bad dude. I just recently reached the 200 subscriber mark on the podcast, and I'd like to thank all of y'all who subscribed, but I need to get to 1,000 subscribers. So do me a favor. Everybody that watches this podcast, get two other people to subscribe. Your family, your friends, your neighbors, Bobby and them, Sue and them. In fact, the whole NM family. Get everybody. All right, you get the point. But if y'all can do that, we can get to that number very quickly. In the meantime, like, subscribe, comment, and share. Share with everybody. How many bodies? Everybody's. Now that we've taken care of the business, let's check out part two. Some quick hitters here, man. I don't want to. I know you got stuff to do. I don't want to monopolize your time, bro. Who are your musical influences?
Oh, so many. I mean, from Aaron Copland to Miles Davis to Herbie Hancock to, Bill Evans, Wes Montgomery, the Beatles. It's just so many. Wow. It depends upon what style of music. I mean, right. Music is such a universal language. I mean, none of those people influenced my love of African music.
Right.
So it really depends upon what it is, There's value, there's good and bad in everything,
Right.
I sometimes lament, there's of course this racist backlash that's just beyond stupid.
No, understand.
Of someone like Kendrick, plays on the Super Bowl halftime,
right.
And on one level, you go, really, you couldn't understand the words, and you like, Fleetwood Mac or Mick Jagger, or
right.
You can understand those? No, you can't.
Not at all. Right.
It's just stupid. But at the same time, I think of, like, if you're going to represent a culture on national television, why did you pick Herbie Hancock? Because there's at least somebody who's as smart musically as anybody on the planet. And why did you pick this, sort of representation of, like a commercial representation of ghetto culture? You're just dividing the country. You're giving Trump something to rage about his DEI hire bullshit. You know what I mean? It's not smart, And there are lots of things about Kendrick that I appreciate. He's got good lyrics compared to a lot of rap artists.
Right.
I mean, the music is not music, really. It's like even the groove is sort of pedestrian. There's no melody, there's no chords. I mean, the singer was really good.
There's no bridge.
Woman who sang. It's just, there's so much great music that you could represent a culture with, and that just doesn't hold a candle to the stuff that's possible to do. And so I think that, and I think the same thing is true when we have Up With People and the white community or whatever it is, they're just the stupid ass shit. I mean, Kid Rock, every bit, it's dumber. It's way dumber. You know what I mean? So, because even the lyrics are dumb, and there's no melody going on there either. And there's no, I mean, it's just stupid shit. And it's music that's designed by, it's being promoted by accountants, to dumb people down, just to milk their ignorance, really.
Right.
Because they're comfortable with that ignorance. And
you're saying pretty much the same thing I was saying. I was on online, one of the social medias, just wailing. It's like we've got all of these great musicians here, and this is the best we have to offer. Now, don't get me wrong,
and the choreography was really good.
Oh yeah.
But he wasn't. He's going around like this. It's just.
Well, he's not a dancer.
He's not Michael Jackson.
Right.
So James Brown or whatever. But he's writes some interesting lyrics.
And man, Hubert Laws is still here, man. Come on.
Yeah.
And I don't think Hubert was doing anything last Sunday, man. Come on.
Yeah. They're it's about money. It's not about,
exactly.
It's not about values.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of money's going to do good. Money's going to do if you don't have air to breathe and water to drink. And,
right. Food to eat.
It's a misplaced value system that we grow up with. It's instilled into us in our schools. If you don't get good grades, you won't get a good job. If you don't get a good job, you won't get good pay. And then you won't have a color TV like mine.
Right.
Hi, this is Greg Thomas of Parliament Funkadelic, and you're listening to In the Black of My Mind podcast. Check us out. Woof.
All right. What is the greatest
job in front of you? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Man, I'm enjoying this immensely. What would you consider to be the greatest accomplishment of your life to date?
I'm working on a symphony that I wrote when I was 31 years old in 1984. And I put it off because it's 32 minutes. It's a real symphony. And it supposes that we're on this planet together, and that, that a tree looks the same on one side of the imaginary line in Canada as it does in Vermont. And that that we live in this environment. We're this miraculous opportunity, really. If you think about this, no life anywhere we've ever seen in our entire existence, right? So I'm thinking, what if all the music in the world played in the same piece? What if you got, African music and symphonies and rock and Middle Eastern and you put them all on one place? Because that's where we are. We're all in one place.
Right.
We all share this one place.
Right.
And I had this music that starts with this sort of energy that comes out of a cloud and develops into this energy 7/8 thing that goes through thematic developments, that go through all these different sort of aspects, and then comes back to this sort of celebratory, all-inclusive sort of ending that has then a sort of serene gratefulness at the end that then just fades out into this little energy stream back into the cloud. And that's what I'm working on right now.
Nice.
And I think that I feel like that's going to be my sort of final statement. I would say that, you know, there are things that I'm known the best for, like the theme to New York is really interesting. You know, the history in New York. I scored that with the
Right.
Burns, and they were in the edit room. There were. You might as well do the history of the world, right? And you know, do the history of New York, and they're saying, well, you know, we tried Rhapsody in Blue. It's a good choice, written by a New York composer in the 20s, the height of New York, right? Except for American Airlines ruined it. Every time you hear it, you think you're going on an airplane ride.
Right. Right. That's right.
So
They use that as a
they say
thing.
we need you to write a Rhapsody in Blue, and we need it to work for the Dutch in the 1600s and still work for Puerto Ricans coming in the 1950s. And I said, "Are you fucking out of your mind?" And so I went home and I thought about it, and then it occurred to me that there was something these people had in common, that all people who came to New York have in common. They all came to New York searching for a home in which they could reinvent themselves. And that was a common human aspiration that anybody could relate to. And it united all these people in this one place. And that is what New York is.
Right.
And by developing that theme that happened to work for all those different cultures, we unified the whole story of New York. And so I would say that's one of my prouder accomplishments, is coming up with that.
Okay. What's on your bucket list?
Not much. I want to finish the symphony. I want to do some experimentations with some of the electronic possibilities out. There's amazing sounds that are available with electronic music, and they're totally underutilized. They're never utilized for artistic reasons. They're utilized just to get the best, you know, backbeat sound or whatever it is. You know, it's like it's totally underutilized for and wasted on pop. So I'd like to do something that's just sort of interesting with that, but it's not burning. You know, it's something that I'd like to do if I get around to it. But when I plan to finish the symphony this year, or towards the or beginning of next year at the latest. We're going to have a symphony. You know, if it's written, and we're just having the first sessions now, so that's going to be a big project. It'll take close to a year to record. You know.
Oh wow!
And because it's that big. You know, music from musicians I know from all over the world, from China, from Middle East, from Ireland, from, you know, South America, so on.
Wow.
It will take a minute, plus a full orchestra.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. So we'll work on that. It'll probably take half the year just to mix with all those people.
Yeah, really. I'm thinking. It's like all of these. Wow. It's like how many tracks do you have, bro? Just
yeah. Well, you know, I don't have to do anything, and that's sort of a wonderful thing too. Is that, you know, if I choose to do nothing, I can do nothing.
Right.
You know,
that's not cool.
I think that there's so much more to contribute, and particularly in the third form of immortality that my grandfather talked about. You know, I mean, a lot of people aren't going to want to hear anything from an old codger like me, but, you know, I'll still throw it out there for those who can benefit.
Oh, please. I'd want to hear it, and it's interesting because on your webpage I start going through and I'm looking. I went through all of the documentaries and all the films and all the music that you have up there, and I was like, wow, man, I got about 20 songs in my catalog.
Yeah, well.
I got
You didn't have the terror of like having the TV and seeing a commercial for something that you were supposed to be scoring and you haven't finished yet.
Oh,
So that's the kind of life that I've led, you know.
I hear.
Serious pressure, you know. So when you have that, it, you know, it sort of puts a fire under your butt to get a lot accomplished.
Right,
and
right,
you know, in the music factory days, it would be like we'd bust ourselves, you know, to make a deadline, you know, working all-nighters and stuff like that. And you get into the office the next day and there's another FedEx package for the new project. It was like that, you know.
Getting one night's sleep and then do it all over
Yeah,
again.
do it all over again. Yeah.
Hey, this is Marion Meadows, and you're listening to and watching In the Black of My Mind podcast.
Where's the coolest place you've ever traveled to?
Well, you know, so many places are cool in their own regard. I mean, like, you know, I remember having a gig in Indianapolis, and I thought, what the hell am I going to do? You know, this is when Dan Quayle was vice president, you know, and I thought, oh, this is the lamest place on the planet to have to go, right? But it was in Indiana University, and it was like a sort of a pocket of intellectualism in the middle of Indiana. And the opening act was this guitar player named John Harrington, who was an amazing guitar player, ended up working with the Brecker brothers.
Oh, wow.
And he just happened to be there. He was the opening act, you know, so you never know what you're going to find. It's, you know, there's beauty in the wide open vistas of the American West. There's beauty in the mountains of various places. Italy is gorgeous all over the country. You know, Paris is amazing. Istanbul is amazing. You know, the Acropolis in Greece is amazing. The Dead Sea in Israel is amazing. You know, I mean, there are so many amazing things. And at the same time, you know, if you're the type of person who's really going to interact with a place, then go out and see it. But if you're the type of person who goes to the Grand Canyon, goes, yep, there's a big hole in the ground.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
Then look it online, you know.
Yeah. Right. What makes you unique?
Well, I do consider myself a little unusual, and I think that came from initially a suspicion of authority. You know, I did a film about NASCAR, and the Richard Petty, who was a great NASCAR driver, sums up this feeling in the South where he says, you never put a comma where God's put a period. And I'm thinking, okay, first of all, that doesn't make any sense. But besides that,
well,
what he's really saying is it's virtuous not to question authority. And if you take that mindset, then you're shutting off all this information, right? You're shutting off skepticism, your evaluative reasoning, evidence, things like this. And you're shutting off your brain from thinking. And I think this explains a lot about America today. Whereas, you know, I remember like going to elementary school class in the Cuban Missile Crisis, right? I was in 5th grade or something. And the teacher would say, okay, we're going to all practice getting under our wooden desks in case of a nuclear attack. And I'm like, right. For kindling? What? You know? And then we go, you're being incorrigible. You go to the, you know, they give me a detention. And, you know, by 7th grade, I was getting audiences for my detentions, you know. And I didn't buy the bullshit, you know. It was, I thought authority was interested in authority, right? In preserving their authority. And I think I was right about that. It's interesting that I could perceive that when I was still in grade school, but it probably had to do with, having sort of a wacky family, alcoholism and craziness, and so, in a neighborhood where everybody had the same house, we sort of played together in with all the same equality of rules, and everybody knew about each other's shit,
Right.
and
Right,
so
right.
and so, my parents were considered kind of wacky, and there were other wacky parents on there, but my family was my childhood neighborhood friends, and it was in the era where you go out and you play in the woods, and you'd start hearing the horns and clanging things or whatever, that it was dinner time, and then you
Okay,
went
right.
home, and then you had dinner, you did your homework, and you went to bed. I never went to bed, I would fake like I was going to bed, but I would do
Right.
other things. But it was a great experience, because it gave me a sense of perspective. And I wasn't necessarily just obedient. And I think that's actually kind of important for development, is not to necessarily do what everybody else does.
Oh, right, right, right. Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because when I was in sixth grade, my teacher um, said that they called me a nonconformist,
Yeah,
and they brought in the school psychologist and the principal and my parents and all the counselors and all this stuff, and it's like,
right,
he's a nonconformist. He refuses to be like everybody else. I'm like, well, wait a minute, what is that? Why are you doing that to me in sixth grade and stuff? And then,
right.
and it wasn't, I thought it was a slight early on. And then later on in life, I realized I am a nonconformist. I'm not like everybody else.
And it was
And
a slight.
but it was something, that's something that should be celebrated, not,
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. We don't have that. We don't have that sort of culture where we celebrate difference. We used to. I remember musically, in the when I was growing up, we had cousin Brewster,
oh,
WABC,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
he
yeah.
would play like the Four Tops, the Beatles, Frank Sinatra, and Ramsey Lewis on the same radio station,
Right.
right?
Wow.
And
Wow.
so everybody had that common experience, and you know, uh, and difference was celebrated. So when a group like Yes came out,
Mm.
you heard them on the radio. Nobody sounded like them.
Right.
Nobody.
Right. Right.
The Beatles,
Right.
when they came out, nobody sounded like them. Bob
Mm.
Dylan, when he came out, people were like listening to, like, you know, the Letterman and shit like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
When Miles Davis recorded "Kind of Blue" in 1958, the number one record was Bobby Darin's "Splish Splash, I'm Taking a Bath." Right? If it was
Okay.
today, the robots would be going, "Okay, we have to find somebody who sounds like Bobby Darin." And anybody wrote a song about taking a shower or soap, or and this is like the kind of stupidity
Yeah.
that happens. These people are marketing music that don't know anything about music.
Right.
Because
Right.
Kind of Blue ended up selling 40 times Bobby Darin's entire catalog, just that one record.
You're right.
Okay,
Exactly.
because they didn't know shit about music.
Mm.
Uh, but John Hammond did. He was the one who signed Miles Davis too.
Right. Right. Wow.
So
Wow.
they used to have people like that at labels that were listening for the real shit, right?
Right. Right. Right.
They
That's
don't bother
unfortunate.
with that anymore. It's all
No.
about robots and, like,
Yeah.
trends, and it's
Right.
all about money.
And
There's no
popularity and stuff.
interest,
Yeah. Yeah.
zero
Yeah. Yeah.
interest in
Yeah.
music, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
In that business.
As can be
So
witnessed by the Grammys.
yeah, right.
Right.
It's just, it's just machine made bullshit, really.
Yeah. Yeah. All the categories in the Grammys that I was interested in were given off camera and stuff. So
Well, yeah, I made a quip a few years ago about that. We shouldn't criticize the Grammys. We should change the categories, because clearly they're not interested in music. So we should have most jewelry for a rap artist, or you know, least discernible melody. I don't know.
Exactly. Oh man.
Most robotic track. There's lots of things we could choose.
Oh, no doubt.
Just adapt it to modern music. Just be truthful about it. People don't like to be truthful. That's like you talk to a Trumper and you tell them the truth, and they call you a hater for it.
Exactly.
Evidence and that kind of stuff.
Oh, that doesn't mean anything. It's false news. Yeah, false news. This is factual, bro. What's going on here?
Yeah. No, they don't want that. They don't want the factual stuff.
No,
they like the Richard Pettys of the world. Never put a comma where God's put a period, and I'm God.
What is the most important decision you've made to date?
I've made that decision many, many times, and that's not to give up.
Man, the utmost. Wow. And more wow. I mean, it's so important, just and you can't, you can give up, but I mean, it won't, you won't find it
you don't get anywhere. You don't know where you're going to get.
Right. Wow. What's your favorite song? And not one that you wrote, but what's your favorite song? You get to choose one song.
Well, I have lots of favorites. I would say one of the best songs written in the last half century, so in our pop mentality, would be "Both Sides Now" by Joni Mitchell.
Oh wow, yeah. I
love the orchestral version she did with that, with Wayne Shorter playing on it. As an old woman, she sings it. It's really poignant when she sings it like that.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Because it just talks about life and the way it really is. And for a 22-year-old woman to have written that.
Right.
It had to happen by accident.
Yeah. No.
I don't know how she came up with such a brilliant song, but she was 22 when she wrote it.
Yeah. And you're right. When she did it with Wayne Shorter later on, it became really more poignant. It's like
way
wow.
more poignant.
Yeah. You reflect back.
I really don't know life at all.
Right. At and at 22,
after having lived it for 7 years.
Right. At 22, I was like, okay, I get it. You're young. You haven't. But after having lived the life and stuff, and then at the age that you are, and you're still singing that, it's like, and if you think about it, it's like, you really don't. You don't. The more, wow.
But it's like life isn't fair. Life isn't necessarily easy, but it is miraculous. And if you focus on that, and you focus on the gratitude that you get to be part of this miracle, then does it really matter? Your odds of being here are just so remote. I mean, think about, like, you're the only living beings in light years from here. If you went one planet farther away, you couldn't exist there. It'd be too cold. If you went one planet closer to the sun, it'd be too hot, right?
Right.
So you're just in that one little right place in this little ecosystem. And, your ancestors had to survive getting eaten by dinosaurs and then drawn and quartered by a religious institution. And they had to meet exactly the same place, and they had to procreate, and they had to raise kids so they could procreate. And after all that stuff, let alone humans evolution, that something hit a compound and formed an amoeba, formed a fish, formed a lizard, formed a Tea Party Republican, then a toad and a porcupine. And, you get to be a human and, in this this age of heat and air conditioning. It's just truly miraculous. And then if you think just the sperm odds alone in the age of porn, I mean, it's just, your existence is like less likely than winning the lottery 20 times in a row. But we don't think about that we won the lottery 20 times in a row already just by existing.
Hi, my name is Howard Cloud. Please watch In the Black of My Mind with host Al Thomas.
This last question is probably the most difficult of all the questions that I've asked, and that is, tell me your life story in one sentence.
I would say that I'm somebody who was driven by a spiritual force I didn't understand, and came to the conclusion that I didn't need to understand, and that my actions and the resulting life consequences of those actions really emanate from that innate sense that I've had since I was as early as I can remember. I mean, I used to go to my grandparents' Catholic church and not understand anything. They would just stand up, kneel down, mumble, but there was something about the aura of the pageantry of it that just felt like I was connecting to something. And then, when I went hunting with my cousins in the South, which there's a crew of places you could possibly imagine, and we'd shoot these guns. I shot some birds off a wire, and they were all excited. Oh, what a great shot. It was from like 100 yards away or something. And I felt terrible, and I realized, there's something else going on here. I'm not like them. I'm serving a different master, I love the Bob Dylan song. He says, you may serve the devil, you may serve the Lord, but you got to serve somebody.
Right. That's for sure.
Yeah. And so, that's, I would say that, that's the simple answer. That's the essence of what drives me to music, what I try to communicate through music, what drives me in life, that's, and the irony is that I can't tell you that what's driving me isn't a figment of my imagination or real. I don't have the ability to tell that. And I've become okay with that I don't have that ability. That's why I'm a squattist.
No doubt. And on that note, Brian, man, I thank you so much, man.
My pleasure.
This was so great, man, and you've opened me up now, because I've, after looking at, as I said, your webpage, I got to go back and check out some of the movies, and then listening to you talk now, I've got to listen more to the soundtrack, of these different movies as well. And I was up in your library and listening to different things. I was like, wow, man, this dude's
yeah,
deep,
it's
man.
Unfortunately, it's a big chore to listen to all my stuff. I mean,
I won't get there, but I mean,
I had to make a greatest hits tape for somebody, and the first cut was 9 hours long. And I was like, I just took one project, like the best cut from each project of a big major project. And it was already 9 hours, and I was like,
wow,
that's
yeah, wow, yeah, but that's deep.
So stuff will get to where it gets to. You just throw it out there. It was inspired for the right reasons, and it will get to where it gets to, and it's out there allowing me to make more. So
right. Now your studio is in Monroe.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's in my starter house, which
Right.
we fixed up last year because we decided to downsize, my partner and I, And we, I didn't want to rebuild a studio at 70. I didn't want to give up composing music, so I ended up fixing the living part of the studio. Up the upstairs, and we put stupid stuff in, like a waterfall and stuff like and we just left the studio pretty much as it's been for years. I mean, this is basically the way it's been since 2003. So that's, yeah. So I'm living in my starter home.
Nice.
It's a little change, but it's still my starter home.
Yeah.
And I like living in a place where the mortgage is paid, taxes are fairly reasonable, and I can go around the corner and be wherever I want. I can go to New Haven in 30 minutes. I can get to the train in 20 minutes and be in New York in an hour. I can be in Westport, my hometown, in 20 minutes.
Right.
So, and I don't have to pay Westport prices for the real estate there, and deal with not being able to move at a 4-way intersection because of snobby SUV owners.
Right.
Wow. To me, it makes sense. I don't have kids in a school system or worry about or any of that stuff. So
nice.
And it's kind of anonymous here. I'm in the woods, and for years we made the outside of this house look like a middle class house. We put like a blow up frosty at Christmas time. Even though no one lived here. Because we didn't want the town looking in, seeing all the machines in there and start taxing us.
Taxing you, yeah.
So I'm a long-standing criminal here. They all know. I mean, the cops, they had alarm system. The cops would come here all the time and look at all this shit, and their eyes bug out. I got them like, I remember the first time that happened. I was working on a Stephen King movie, and I got Stephen King to autograph a poster, and I gave it to the cop. Was a real fan.
Oh wow!
And they did me solids for another 10 years after that. So,
nice. Yeah.
It worked out fine.
Okay. Well, once again, Brian, I thank you so much, man, and I will definitely let you know when this comes out and stuff.
Great.
So that you can check it out. And
well, thanks, Al. Appreciate you having me on. And
oh man, pleasure's
good luck to
all
you.
mine. Yeah, thank you, bro. This has been another episode of In the Black of My Mind podcast. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share. Until next week, y'all be blessed.